Hey, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy, imonefororange, aka imonefororange, back at it again with another competitive analysis video on the Pokemon Planet meta. If you missed the last series of videos I did breakdowns on a lot of Pokemon Planet gameplay in Clan Wars, and I broke down my decision making, or where I could have improved in the case of a loss, or if I won, what my opponent could have possibly done better to work their way towards a win. I find these videos to be incredibly informative for those of you trying to get a head start on the Pokemon Planet meta. And if you missed those videos, I'm going to leave episode 1 in the description for you to check out, or you can visit my channel. They'll be available at any time. Now, today's video is going to be a return to tradition for those of you that are fans of the imonefororange channel. We're going to be diving into, again, a little bit of Pokemon Planet gameplay. I certainly have some examples, but we'll be definitely exploring the calculator once again. And the reason for this is today's topic is going to be on the importance of bulk, on offensive mons mainly, in the Pokemon Planet MMO. Now, if you're not familiar with an MMO, when you hunt Pokemon in an MMO, it's not the same as Pokemon Showdown. I have the calculator open right now, and you can see every Pokemon I can possibly load up is preloaded with 31 IVs in every single stat. Now, if you play the Pokemon Planet MMO, you'll know right away that this is not something that's promised. If you're so lucky as to catch a timid Gengar with 31 special attack and 31 speed, you may not be so lucky in the bulk. Your timid Gengar could have something like 5 HP, 6 defense, 7 special defense. And you may look at this and think, oh, I'm okay. You know, all I need to do is outspeed every Gengar mirror I possibly can and hit as hard as I can. I'm an offensive Pokemon. I certainly don't need this bulk. And we're going to be exploring that argument, how true it is, and looking at examples where the bulk on an offensive Pokemon can certainly change the outcome of a game. Now, if you're new to the channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, or subscribe to be notified when I upload more content such as this. The style of these videos is very podcasty in nature. I don't do a whole lot of fancy editing. I sit here, theory craft with you guys. And if you'd like to get on with your day, go for your morning walk, your jog, have your coffee, do so. I'm not offended. Simply leave the audio running in the background and take in what you can, because I feel like a lot of this information is quite important. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, for starters, there is a very important distinction between the topic of this video and bulk in general. So we're not going to be looking at defensive mons for any of the examples today. Small change of plans from what I said here. We will be looking at a few defensive calcs, but they won't be the focus. Let's get right back into the video. Because it should come as obvious for most that if your role as a defensive mon in the metagame is to take as many hits as possible, then clearly your IVs in the bulk matter. But it may not be so straightforward on your offensive mons that don't have the most bulk, and you're simply not investing in it. You invest in your attacking stat as well as your speed. So, to give a tangent from the example initially, before we dive into the topic, let's start with Skarmory, who clearly Skarmory is an impressive Pokemon in the metagame, being able to switch into a whole lot with its behemoth 140 defense and fantastic typing for what it needs to check. And it doesn't invest in any offenses whatsoever. 252 HP, 252 defense, 4 SpDef. So when we load up a Skarmory into the calculator and compare this with one of my favorite examples, which is Banded Azumarill, you'll see that initially Liquidation does have a 4.7% chance to 2-hit KO. And clearly, the Skarmory's job is to take these hits. That's why you need an impish or bold nature to be able to check Azumarill as efficiently as possible, optimizing your defense as much as possible to make this calc as close to the Showdown calc as possible. Now, if you have a Skarmory with 20 HP and 20 defense, suddenly this calc went all the way up to a 49.2% chance to 2-hit KO. And Clearly, yes, this is an example where your bulk on a defensive mon is very, very crazy. If you have a Pokemon on your team where its job is to take as many defensive hits as possible, whether it's a Bold Skarmory or a Calm Heatran, then yeah, having your defenses as high as possible is definitely something to have. Now, to get back on topic, what are some cases where your offensive mon, such as Gengar, should definitely be able to take those hits as well? Well, we'll be looking at some replays here, but to stay in the calculator, we can initially see that Gengar's stats aren't the most impressive in terms of its bulk. 60 HP, 60 defense, 75 SpDef. We have the Azu right here, that's choice banded. Aqua Jet is doing 68 to 81 right here, so you should be living. Now let's start putting in some other factors into this calculator and just toying with the numbers before we get into all the replays. First off, let's say Stealth Rocks are up on each side. And then, okay, this shouldn't be Black Sludge. Let's make it Choice Scarf, because that's the typical set in PPO, Choice Scarf, Choice Specs. Now, Aqua Jet is still going to be 2-hit KOing after Stealth Rock at this point. Let's start lowering the IVs. Let's toy with the numbers. So now I caught a Gengar in Pokemon Planet. I have 15 HP, 15 defense. What just happened? All of a sudden, my Gengar now has a 56.3% chance to die after Stealth Rock. Wow. And that's just looking at this calc. Now, how lethal is this calc in particular? Well, we're looking at a Banded Azu. And the only way a Banded Azu is going to even be close to catching up to you in this massive 525 speed stat is by hitting you with the priority move, Aqua Jet. And that is what we're going to be looking at right there. This is Adamant Banded. This is the strongest possible move that the Azumarill can use on you to possibly dispose of you. Now the Gengar. We might have Sludge Wave on this Gengar. And as we can see, a perfect Bulk Azu, not trained in HP, will die to the Sludge Wave. So this is a matchup of lethality. In the case that you don't have a switch in, or it's a 1v1 last mon situation, Azu locked into Aqua Jet versus Gengar going to be clicking Sludge Wave to get this one-hit KO. You have to use Aqua Jet for a chance to win. Sludge Wave is always going to kill the Azu before you can get off your knockoff, your liquidation, anything like that. You can't catch up to it in speed. So in the instance that this happens, you need the highest chance to win as possible. There's always a chance that even with these rocks up here, you can just die to a crit, right? That's part of the game. However, if your IVs are poor, you're going to see that you are crippling yourself against this matchup. The match that you should be certainly winning outside of a crit suddenly turns into a 56.3% chance to die naturally. And that's a big deal. This is another reason why, so going back here, let's say you did catch a Gengar with 31 HP and 31 defense, but oh no, this one didn't sync or you bought one off the market, it's Hasty. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, the IVs are still amazing. I mean, sure, it's minus defense, but it's still plus speed. It's just like Timid, right? I still keep my nice special attack stat. Aqua Jet, just for being a hasty nature, now is a 25% chance to KO you after Stealth Rock. So, in the case of your timid or jolly nature versus a not as desired nature, such as hasty or naive, this is why those imperfect nature Pokemon will go for less on the market. For example, where is it? Yes. I have this Weavile that I found on the market. I would say it's a respectable Weavile with 30 speed and 19 attack. 19 isn't the highest, but as a newer player, this might be in the budget for you. But it is naive. And on top of that, we have 3 HP and 3 SpDef. So let's go ahead and look at the Weavile example here. And let's look at a Gengar in play. And we can make this, let's make it a choice specs Gengar to really hit this argument nicely. We still have rocks up. Now, Shadow Ball is going to be doing 39 to 46% usually to the Weavile here. And I'm going to throw on Sludge Bomb as well, right here. So it is a 50-50. Maybe the Weavile user in this case, you really want to hit this Gengar and trap it in with a Pursuit. You just want to have enough bulk to live this Shadow Ball that you are definitely predicting them to use in the instance that you have a Steel type on their team and the Sludge Bomb isn't as free. You predict the Shadow Ball, you switch in your Weavile. A Choice Specs Gengar can never OKO, or a 2-hit KO of perfect bulk Weavile. And let's do no rocks up for this calc. So Shadow Ball onto the Gengar, onto the Weavile is always going to be a 3-hit KO, which means this Gengar is always Pursued trapped. Okay, so now let's jump and look at the bulk that this Weavile has and see how this matchup gets any different if possible. We're going to do 3 HP, 3 SPDF, and Naive. And now suddenly, wow, not only is it 2-hit KO, but there's no chance for the Weavile to take 2 of these. Wow, that matchup got a lot different all of a sudden. Can we switch into Choice Scarf maybe? And can we do that with Rocks Up? Certainly not. This bulk is just too poor enough that if you switch into a Scarf Gengar Shadow Ball with Rocks Up, you're going to be getting 2-hit KO'd. How different is this? Can I live too if I was 31-31 bulk Jolly and the rocks were up? Yeah, it's a 3-hit KO doing 60% damage max off the 2 Shadow Balls and then 25% from the rocks, equaling a total max damage of 85%. Compared to, back to the Naive example, there we go, we're always dead. Doing a minimum damage, 37 plus 37, is, well, this is essentially 38 plus 38 is 76 plus 25 from the rocks, a minimum of 101 damage. Wow, that is a lot different. So that is why when you're looking in the market and you see these Weaviles or other Pokemon that don't have the best nature, such as Timid or Jolly, and they're Naive or Hasty instead, that's why you see them go for so much less. Because even though it doesn't seem like this Pokemon can actually take hits, it can. If you use it the correct way, and you switch into your resistances and use it to the best of your ability, you can certainly take a hit or two, even with a Weavile. That's certainly, if we go back to the calc, naturally having 70 HP, 65 defense, 85 SPDF. I wouldn't call it the bulkiest Pokemon in the world by any means, but by using it smartly, you can definitely get some mileage off it. The only time you should ever be using a Naive or Hasty Pokemon is, for example, on Garchomp. And let's say you were running a set here with Fire Blast as your last move, then Jolly is going to lower your special attack. By running a Naive nature, you jump your special attack stat from 176 to 196. And the offense that you gain from that is enough to deal a lot more damage to stuff like physical defensive Tangrowth with your Fire Blast. Now you can, with Rocks Up, Earthquake, 16 to 19 plus the Rocks chip into Fire Blast has a better chance to kill than if you were Jolly, as this damage is going to be falling off a bit, doing 7 to 8% less. That roll is not in your favor. That's the only time you should really be looking at Hasty or Naive Pokemon, if your Pokemon is a mixed attacker, as we call it. Good examples of this are Infernape, Garchomp, and I guess the list ends there, unless you want to count Victini's sets as well. But Victini does enjoy its bulk if you're planning to only use physical moves. So that about wraps up for the Calcs portion of this video. Let's jump right into some of the replays. So these replays are certainly gonna show where Calcs come into play, and we're gonna be looking again offensive Pokemon that are not historically known for taking hits. And we're going to see how the matchup drastically changes as a result here. Now, I have this match, me versus Smogon here. By the way, if you're listening right now, look out for a collaboration from me and this player. We are going to be making a podcast together, and it may even be the next video. Shameless plug. Let's get right back into it. So I have my Celebi out as he switches into his Entei. I am a Life Orb Celebi, and you'll notice that this Entei goes down to 46.66% health off the Psychic. Now, this is an Entei with very great bulk, to be honest. I believe he is actually a calm Entei. Let's go ahead and pull up the Timid Celebi here and look at the Entei. Yeah, so he is running actually an Entei that is calm. So it's not the greatest example per se, but let's still look at it. Let's say he was still running something like a calm Entei with 252 attack here. Leftovers. Or, I'm sorry, that wouldn't be a set. He would be running special attack. Let's say it was looking something like this. I think this is how Smoosh would actually EV train his stuff. I don't know, maybe it's something more along the lines of having enough speed for Heracross and then some HP. Maybe it's something like this, right? Well, looking at the Psychic calc, and let me get these rocks off the field. Psychic has a 61.3% chance to 2-hit KO after Leftovers recovery. This is my Psychic Celebi with the Life Orb equipped. Now, he ends up, if we go back to the replay, he does end up taking enough damage to be 2-hit KO'd, and then being out of range from his Leftovers. This is a roll, for sure, but it is a chance that he can still live at this point. And if we look at, so here we go with this set. Let's say that we tweak the numbers to be 20 HP and 20 SPDF here. How does this change? Okay, suddenly the Psychic is a guaranteed 2-hit KO after Leftovers recovery. So he had great bulk on this Entei. If I were able to kill this Entei with the Psychic here, it would force in the Mienshao, which would have to click U-turn. I have Intimidate Crook, which could lower the damage of that U-turn, not die, and be able to knock off the Feraligatr before it gets too scary. And then Revenge Kill with my Shark and proceed to probably win the game in that case, provided a Dragon Dance 50-50, or if he Swords Dance, I won on the spot. So because he lives this calc, because of his bulk, I end up taking an extra hit, actually getting burned, and then I'm going to die to the Life Orb recoil plus the burn here. So this is definitely an example of where, because of the bulk his Entei had, this was a calc that could have changed the outcome of the game dramatically, to be honest. So yeah, definitely a calc example where an offensive Pokemon such as Entei was able to just take that extra hit and drastically change the outcome of the game for my opponent. So well played to him. Good stuff. The next example I'm going to show, and I'm actually convinced that this one could be a bug. So I'm playing against Chrono Triggered here, and I have my Modest Sash Empoleon out against the Entei. I said Entei. I have my Modest Sash Empoleon out against the Hippowdon. How's that? So here we go. I'm not going to bother with the exact speed and whatnot. So here we go. I'm not in torrent range. I'm at full. This is in fact turn 1. And here's the Hippo. And let's say it's a Fizdef Hippo. This Scald should be doing 80 to 94 to a max HP, physically defensive Hippo. Well, let's see what happens after I click Scald here. The Hippo dies. So what could have happened here? Had the Hippo lived, it could have Earthquaked me and broke my Sash, or it could have got up rocks, which were great for the rest of the game. Because I one-shot this Hippo here, this drastically changes the outcome of the game for me. So let's explore the fact that maybe Chrono has a 25 bulk Hippo here, but instead of caring about the SPDF, he's thinking, I'm only going to be wanting this Hippo to take bulk on the Fizdef side. Maybe he doesn't care about his SPDF as much. Maybe it's 8. And we can suddenly see that this Scald went from having no chance to KO to very much so in my favor. 62.5% chance to one-shot. And let's say I got that 62% chance to one-shot, so he's dead. And now I still have my sash intact for whatever comes in next. The game changed because even though I certainly would have been able to kill the hippo over 2 turns, I'm able to keep my sash intact and prevent rocks from going up, just because I was able to one-shot the hippo. On top of that, let's say the hippo did live. Maybe he could have saved it to get in sand for a second time during the match. But because this happened in the way it did, I was able to play without sand for the rest of the game. And as you can see, the leverage that I get just from that series of turns puts me in a very big advantage for the rest of the game. So bulk changed the outcome of this game. I really think that even though this is a defensive Pokemon example for sure, this is a very clear-cut example of where bulk drastically changes the outcome of the game. Over at 2952, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have an example of where my bulk saved my ass. So I switch in the Crobat on this Nasty Plot Toxicroak, and that seems pretty safe to me. I Brave Bird, and it is sashed. So now I'm going to die to Shadow Ball here into a Vacuum Wave. 100% of the time, this is always something that happens. I don't think there's much I could have done about that, especially with the -1 Spidef drop. So yeah, I'm gonna struggle to play around this Toxicroak if you've seen this game. I try to Sucker Punch it, he reads that with the Vacuum Wave, then Sludge Bombs the next turn into my Celebi as it dies. I do the same Brain Dead play and Sucker Punch again. So yeah, this is all fun. Last ditch effort, I bring out my Crook. And let's go look at some calcs. I'm gonna assume that this Toxicroak Nasty Plot set was, and we know it's Focus Sash, so it doesn't have an offensive item. But let's say it was Modest, and Vacuum Wave is not on the set. Here we go. Now let me put my Crook into play at +2. As you can see, a Sash Toxicroak Vacuum Wave has a 25% chance to KO my Crook. And in the case that this Toxicroak KOs my Crook here, I have an Empoleon which can't do any damage to it. I mean, it can kill with Grass Knot, I guess, but not before it drops. And a Sharpedo that's going to be picked off by a Vacuum Wave. I am in an awful spot. This would be a 6-0 if my Crook dies here, or maybe a 5-0. Now, going back to this, let's say that I didn't care about my bulk as much and I had 15 HP and Vacuum Wave is a special move, so 15 Spidef. If I had this poor bulk, Vacuum Wave would always KO my Crook. This is an offensive Pokemon that, even if I have a 31 attack, 31 speed Crook, and I think I'm fine, this is a matchup that drastically changes just because I don't have good bulk. So you have to care about your bulk. And as a result, for me caring about my bulk here, I risk it, of course. Barely live in the Vacuum Wave. Oh my gosh. Barely lived that Vacuum Wave when, of course, even if I was perfect bulk to a Modest one, I had a chance to die. Thankfully, I live it. And as a result here, I make some risky plays because I'm super behind. And you'll see that the series of plays actually leads me to eventually win this game. So in the case that, you know, my Crook died there because I didn't have enough bulk or got crit, things could have been a lot different for that game, without a doubt. So care about your bulk, even on your offensive mons. I have another example in this video to show off here. Now I switch in my Crook to deal with this Swellow. I wanted to revenge kill it with this, as Sharpedo can be attack dropped by the Arcanine into extreme speed to be picked off. So I went into the Crook to revenge kill this Swellow. I also said that it's the end of the tier, and I just wanted to try to close out this win as fast as possible, and I felt this was the best way to close out the win. Now let's pull up my Scarf Crook, which is Jolly. You don't really run Addy Scarf Crook. The speed tier is way too good to pass up on. And let's look at Swellow. Knockoff should be doing 84 to 100. Even if they have a perfect bulk Swellow, there is a 6.3% chance to OKO right here. And let's instantly just put this down to 15 HP, 15 defense, and suddenly see that all of a sudden the knockoff is guaranteed. Well, you can imagine what happened. This offensive Pokemon that had a chance to live this, because they didn't either put as much care into the bulk, or I got a 6% lucky roll. There, I get the KO. And clearly, had I died here to a Boom Burst, this would have certainly changed the outcome of the game, especially if this is something like Bandit Cincino and Scarf Gardevoir. Having a Crook around was definitely something I wanted. So next, you're going to see them go out into their Gardevoir, and I don't have a switch into it, honestly, so I'm going to click Knock again. And looking at the same calc on the Gardevoir, Knockoff does even less damage, 75 to 89%, and as you see, I don't have Rocks up. There is no chance of me getting this KO without Moxie. Unless I make this 5 HP and 5 defense, then suddenly the knockoff is 87.5% chance to kill. Yes, 87.5 chance to kill, when at 31-31, I had no chance to kill or not even come close. And this isn't even a Hasty Gardevoir. This is just bad IVs on a timid one. If you want to make things even crazier, give it 20 HP, 20 defense, and make it Hasty. And yeah, the calc is still a 62.5% chance in my favor. Bulk on an offensive Mon clearly matters, as you see, as I get this KO too. So definitely keep your bulk in mind on every offensive Pokemon. This is cutthroat examples where, without a doubt, it matters. I had 2 examples where it came up in the same game here. Here's my fight versus Paul Walker and his shiny Gardevoir. I'm a little too far ahead in this video. Let me go back. So, as I explained in my Clan Wars breakdown video, after this play here, am I at the right time? No. Here, skip ahead a little bit. I kill the Mandibuzz with Dazzling Gleam on my Celebi, and the reason I position around this is to have the highest chance to win around Curselax. I know that a Curselax, and let's pull up Snorlax. Yeah, that's Curselax, and I'm Celebi. I can plot up to +2, and I can at least get 50% damage off on this, which can be enough damage for my other checks to do some work. Now, let's look at how this could have gone horribly wrong. This Snorlax is Banded with 252 attack Adamant, and instead of Giga Impact for the 1v1 set, it's Return. Return does 71 to 84%. My Celebi, oh my gosh, wrong match here. Let me just close that. My Celebi's at 90. So if they max roll me, I should live at 6 HP from this Return, assuming my bulk is good. So all my bases are covered bar Crunch. I decide to go for a Nasty Plot as a result. Really can't mess around with this being Curselax. I check my health, and as you can see, I'm knocked all the way down to 3% health. So that does imply, sure, my bulk isn't perfect. Maybe I had 25 bulk here. That would make the Return have a chance to do 88% when it did 86. So they high rolled, and my bulk isn't perfect, right? So just another example of where bulk came into play. If I was fooling around and I had something like a 12 HP and 12 defense Celebi, and let's say again I was at 90% health here, this was a 50-50 roll to die. But I believe, because I know my bulk isn't that bad, I believe that they got a high roll and my bulk was okay, and it saved my ass here for sure. And as a result, I was able to get off that nasty psychic damage I was showcasing before, and then be able to get it in range of my other Pokemon to deal with it. Here, skipping ahead, I showed that calc exactly. Goes down to 54%, and then my Crobat's able to pick it off because I was able to get that extra damage. Had I not got that extra damage off, my Crobat probably wouldn't have KO'd it. And now my favorite example of this game, and also my mistake I made. I went really in depth on this mistake in my last video, but we get to see a really cool example of where bulk completely saved my opponent now. as this is an adamant life orb Sharpedo. And going back to the calculator, Sharpedo, physical cleaner, Eye of Liquidation, and I'm fighting, I believe this is a perfect nature Gardevoir, even though it's shiny. Liquidation has a, oh, back at 100% now. There we go. Liquidation has an 81.3% chance to OKO a perfect bulk Gardevoir, suddenly making this a 25 Gardevoir. It's actually guaranteed. Liquidation is usually extremely reliable for picking off these KOs as a result. Your opponent really needs to have a perfect Gardevoir for them to even have a chance to live. Like, I can't understate that. 28 bulk is a 93.8% chance for the Gardevoir to die just to a liquidation. And as we'll see, as a result of my opponent's bulk, I click liquidation and they live. They had that 31 bulk on their Gardevoir. And as a result, I didn't close out the KO. My opponent, even though they have an offensive Gardevoir, they appreciated the bulk to make sure that resetting this Gardevoir, they didn't just care about getting that perfect 31 special attack, 31 speeder as close as they can get. They put care into their bulk. That's as close to 31 as you can get. And I guess this exposes that maybe I don't have a 31 attack Sharpedo. Oops, but hey. And that's pretty much how that matchup went in the end. The bulk literally saved them. I misplayed, and I talked about that in my last video, but because they lived, they were able to win the match in that sense. So bulk is crazy important, even on your offensive mods. I've gathered all these examples just to drill that point. It is extremely important. But let's go off on a small tangent before we wrap stuff up. I don't have video examples for these, but I want to show some good examples in the meta. Playing against rain, your calcs can come into importance for your bulk more than you realize. I'm going to put in a modest specs Kingdra here. We're going to get a Serp on the other side of the field. Give this Ice Beam, and then we don't even need to have HP. Let's just look at this. Okay, so a standard 252 Serp, you actually have a chance to live this Ice Beam. Now, yes, you could be dead to Draco always, but Draco does lower their special attack by 2 and essentially forces them out. If they have a chance to go for the free Ice Beam, they might take that, as 1, Draco can miss, and 2, maybe you have something in the back like a fairy to really dissuade that Draco Meteor. So in this case, we can see that a Specs Kingdra Ice Beam, even modest, has a chance to not kill a Serp. Now make this a 28 HP, 20 Spit F Serp, and the Ice Beam is suddenly guaranteed. Personally, I've almost never seen a Serp live a Kingdra Ice Beam in this game whenever I'm watching people play. And you'd be surprised how often this situation does come up, to be honest. Your bulk is definitely important on Serp for a variety of reasons, but this is just a snapshot into one of the reasons. Put that love and care even into an offensive sweeper such as Serp. You really want to be able to live this Ice Beam, especially because you run Glare, and after you're able to survive the Ice Beam, given a bit better bulk, and you can glare it down, then you're faster. And also the Kingdra is essentially crippled for the rest of the game and prone to what's called para hacks. So a lot of reasons to really put some love and care into that. And then another calc that really makes no sense, because I've never seen a Dragonite live a Play Rough in PPO. I can almost confidently say that. And this calc is nuts. Now, multi-scale is an ability that when you're at full health, you take half damage from the first hit you get hit from. Now, looking at an Adamant Banded Azumarill, which again is a very prominent Pokemon in this meta, clicking Play Rough against a Dragonite, somehow this only has a 12.5% chance to KO naturally. Yes, that's right. So in the case that this is an Adamant Dragonite with maybe a Choice Band on it, 2 Earthquakes kills, 2 E-Speeds kills. Dual Wing Beat's not in this game. Let's do Thunder Punch, just because. So here's your moves. Thunder Punch has a chance to one-shot, there you go. But I always have seen Dragonites die in this case. How could that be? Well, let's say you have a 20 HP, 20 defense Dragonite. Play Rough is now in the Azu's favor. You have a 12 HP, 12 defense Dragonite, and you're dead. These calcs are nuts. This is why bulk is so important. As close to 31-31 as you can get is the chance for you to live this play rough. I'm guilty of this too. I don't have perfect bulk on my Dragonites. Should I say that it's worth resetting until it is perfect? No, that is quite expensive, but it is something to really look at and think about. Definitely rethink that on your offensive mons if they don't have bulk. This is a snapshot of the few examples that I can come up with in a short time period to spread this message. But this is in effect for essentially every Pokemon that's offensive in any situation you can think of. Bulk on offensive mons is extremely important. You're playing Stall? I mean, Stall is, it's a little bit of a tangent here. I got my Naive, Life Orb, Freeze Dry, Alomomola. And I guess this is more about EV spreads, but look, Freeze Dry, 37-45, throw the rocks up, Rocky Helmet, yeah, 9.4% chance to 2-hit KO. It shouldn't be 2-hit KOing, right? With a ideal spread, even in 252 SPDF. Alright, well, let's say I'm a lazy hunter and I settled for a 22 Alomomola. 71.5% chance to 2-hit KO after Stealth Rock. Yeah, realize I just flipped this matchup from a 9.4% chance to drastically in the Mamoswine's favor to win that matchup. Your bulk matters in any situation you can come up with, and that's so important. If you're a Stall player, it's not enough to just have a bold Chansey with average IVs. Really push yourself to get the really high ones. Did you know that a Lucario Jolly Life Orb versus a Chansey? Did you know that Chansey can live this? I mean, let me get the rocks off. Did you know Chansey can live this? Did you know that if you're a 25-25 Chansey, that the calc gets like about 7 to 8 times worse in terms of odds? Yeah, bulk is crazy on everything you can come up with. Definitely take some time, put some love into your bulk. And that's really gonna wrap up the video. For closing thoughts, yeah, this was a little more ranty. No, I didn't have any live gameplay, but put that love and care into your bulk. Start to rethink your Pokemon. Don't settle for a 10 defense, 10 HP Gengar with 5 SPDF. Even if you get a 29-31, don't be content. Sell that to someone else and go out and get a better one for yourself. This bulk can drastically change the outcome in the game. Maybe you're playing extremely well, and maybe you're actually gated back by your Pokemon, losing situations that they should be winning. It is such a trivial thing for an offensive Pokemon to actually care about their tiny defensive stats. But no, they make differences, and those differences are extremely important. If you made it up to this point, be sure to leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Be sure to let me know if you like this kind of rant and video. I really love this Dragonite example, so we'll end it off on the wallpaper there. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Look forward to a podcast coming soon, and I will catch you guys in the next upload. Peace.